Hey there, I'm Lainey Lipsky, parenting coach and master teacher. Parenting is hard. I totally get it, and I'm here to make it easier for you. Especially if you had a tough childhood or you've got a tough child now, I've got your back. So take a deep breath, relax, and check out this clip from my coaching group this week. And remember to hit like and subscribe if you like my vibe. Let's get started. That's the thing about yelling, is that it's one of those short-term impulsive decisions or reactions that has a longer term consequence. Because once you start yelling, it's hard to stop. And then it's like things have been said and you can't take it back and you have to make up for it. And it's a long process. And I have been thinking a lot about doorknob decisions. I was just talking about this with my son today when we were talking about him being distracted when he sits down to do his homework. And my question was, are you distracted and do you find it hard to focus once you're working? And he said, no, I actually don't. But it's the first step. It's the when I sit down to work, I have trouble getting started. He's like, I'd rather turn on YouTube or I'd rather I am with friends or whatever it is that he'd rather do. I'm like, well, that makes sense. Like talk to any adult who has a job that involves a computer. Everybody's scrolling. They'd rather do that than start their work. But what I mean by a doorknob decision is that imagine that there are all these choices in front of you as doors, and each one of them has a knob. Each one has a doorknob. And the doorknob that you choose going into it usually opens up the path to an easier path, an easier next decision to align with that first decision. If you, with yelling, the case of yelling, if you're choosing to yell, and it is a choice, it is a choice. I know it feels like it's totally on autopilot, but it at some point becomes a choice. If you choose that door of yelling and you open it, it's just so easy to go down that road. If you stay committed to the choice, the first choice of not yelling, and you put your hand on that doorknob, the doorknob to the door that says not yelling, and you open that door, then you're able to access all of the things that go into the process of not yelling, the breathing, the self-talk, the before you even enter that path, making sure that your physical tanks are full as they can be, so you're not entering a situation with your child where you're thirsty or you're hungry or you're exhausted. And if you are one of those things that you can control, being thirst and hunger, you take care of that before you engage with your child, right? The doorknob decision is when you put your hand on that doorknob of the choice that you're making. I am not going to yell. And you open that door, and then you're in a room full or a path lined with all of the tools around not yelling. And every step along that path is a step closer toward that decision, toward that goal. Now, I just made that sound really simple, and it is simple, but it's not easy. And I get that. So it's so tempting, I know, to grab the other door. Like, it doesn't mean that the other door disappears. Eventually, it does disappear, but every step along that path, there's going to be the door of yelling that's going to be following you as a choice to grab that doorknob and go through that door as well. Every step along that path is going to be a choice. And, we talked about yelling a little bit earlier as, taking off the name calling and the blaming and the shaming, and also learning to modulate your voice so that there's emotion without yelling. But if you're somebody who goes right to the doorknob decision of yelling and that's your go-to, then you probably have to back off completely to having very little emotion in your voice before you can find that balance of modulating your tone. You might have to go to like totally calm, even if it's fake calm, just being like, wow, I'm really angry right now, and just voicing what is going on for you physically rather than yelling. Because even if you're like doing a weird thing in a room with your kids and you're like, wow, my heart is beating really fast right now. Wow, I really feel like yelling, but I really don't want to. And you're speaking your process out loud. Wow, I'm going to take some deep breaths right now. Wow, I'm going to take a time out. Wow. And you're just like having this conversation with yourself, then isn't that better than yelling? Like, isn't it better to be like a little weird and like do that if you need to? All of that's going to keep you more in your human brain, by the way. If you're speaking your process out loud, it's going to keep you more mindful, it's going to keep you more conscious, and it's going to keep you in the room or along the path of walking the no yelling pathway. I really hope this video was helpful to you. Feel free to share it and use the comments to ask a question or to request a topic for the future. We've got links below for free support with things like discipline, teaching your kids how to be more gritty, and how to be more patient with your kids, plus access to my free coaching group. So be sure to check those links out. And remember, we get one shot at parenthood. Our kids only get one shot at their childhood, so let's make it count. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.